Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about something really important, and that is about the run for the presidency for Ron DeSantis. Now, we cannot get his birth time. It's so important to have an accurate birth time in order to make predictions for someone, but since we could not get his birth time, nor on the day that he was born, the moon actually changes signs, so I don't know what moon sign to start with. We are pretty much at a standstill on how we can make predictions, but I thought of something ingenious, and that is to take the time that he announced his run for the presidency as to the outcome of what this run would produce. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at the time that he announced that he is running for President of the United States to see what could possibly be the outcome in this case. So let me go ahead. I'm going to put up this chart, and we all know, anyone that's followed any of this, that there was a major debacle with him announcing this on Twitter. This is pretty much seen in this chart. It's pretty hilarious to know that that's what happened and that everything was delayed. But before I continue on, I want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter. Every month you will get all of my predictions delivered free to your email address, plus the beginning of the month, my spiritual insights. And I'm starting big time my Shooting Stars class. It's taking it to a new level. You'll want to check that out. Shooting Stars is where we all come together and discuss things of a spiritual nature and how, as human beings, we can better direct our lives and make our lives better. This is a community you'll want to be part of. All of this, Shooting Stars, plus my magazine, which is Joni Patry's Astrology Insights, every month comes out with some of the best articles. All of this can be seen on my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Check it all out. You're going to love it. So looking at Ron DeSantis' bid for the presidency, let me scoot over here and show you this chart. It is pretty interesting, I think you're going to find. So it was Wednesday, May 24th, 2003 at 1:07:49 seconds on Twitter that he announced in Tallahassee, Florida. This is the chart for his run for the presidency. Fascinating chart because the rising sign here is Leo. So Leo rising, and it sits at 5 degrees of Leo right there, conjunct the most powerful fixed star of leadership. Regulus sits at 5-6 degrees of Leo. That's the heart of the lion. That deals with leadership qualities. And with Leo rising at the time, the sun rules the ascendant. So that's the chart ruler, and it sits powerfully in the 10th house. That is pretty amazing for a start, to see the planet of kingship, leadership, the sun in the 10th house with the Leo rising. But there's a lot more to this chart than just that, because what I see that can cause all sorts of complications is where the moon and Mars are sitting. They are tightly conjunct and within 1 degree of each other in the 12th house. This could possibly be what this debacle on Twitter was all about, because the 12th house deals with secrets, hidden agendas, secret enemies, things you can't see. And the moon is actually the indicator of the public. Very important. That's why we always look at charts from the moon. It deals with the public appeal. And it's in the 12th house. There's so much going on behind the scenes that we can't possibly figure out with this moon Mars. And Mars is the aggressor. Mars is very much argumentative and combative. And this was him trying to get this out on this day. He had major issues and problems. So looking at that, Mars on top of it, conjunct the moon, is in the sign of Cancer. That is Mars' debilitation sign, to add insult to injury, with the moon dealing with the public. So the public persona, the public image, what's portrayed is not so good with this being in the 12th house. And to make matters worse, Pluto opposes them. Pluto sits in Capricorn, 6 degrees, opposing the moon and Mars, almost exactly at 7-8 degrees. Wow. Pluto can deal with major power, incredible passion, desire, but it's Mars, Pluto is very, very difficult. There's a lot of anger and frustration, and you know, it doesn't look good. Pluto's in the 6th house, which deals with enemies, and the 12th house is secret enemies. He has got his fair share of people that will be attackers, whether it's the media, whether it's his opponents, whether it is either side. This is a difficult placement. And when you look at where Saturn sits in the 7th house. When you're looking at such a thing as politics, the 7th house represents the opponents. And here we have this incredibly powerful Saturn. It's in Aquarius. It's in its own sign. In an angle, the opponents are powerful and fierce coming at him. And the emotions of the public with Mars, there's anger. And let me say something else about the 12th house. It's about uncovering secrets. Wow, that's a lot going on here. But let me revert to where the Jupiter-Rahu conjunction are in the 9th house. Jupiter, Rahu, Mercury, and Uranus all together in Aries in the 9th house. The 9th house deals with the truth. This can mean some extreme things concerning truth and validity and laws. The laws. And he spoke a lot about changing a lot of laws. And I will say this for DeSantis, he has a track record. The people in Florida are supportive of him, of his track record, of all that he did during COVID against what most people were saying. He stood his line in what he believed, whether you liked it or not. He was clear, he stuck to it, he didn't deviate. He has a track record. The people of Florida voted him in very powerfully. He has a good backing and track record. So this is what he's got going for him, and it concerns things about the laws. The legality of things. He is powerful and strong in his beliefs and what he wants to do for the country. In terms of his beliefs, he will stick to it. He is in power with his beliefs. So, and he can create a lot of change with legalities and the law with these planets in the 9th house. Now, Venus sits in the 11th house, and it's in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is all about communications, and Venus there means he has an eloquent way of communicating. But I will say this, it might be a little too nice. You know what they say about politics. You can't be nice in politics or you'll get run over. You know, the nice guy finishes last, so he's got to really step it up and be that which can fight out the opponents, which are powerful, to say the least. So another thing that I see in this chart is K2. sits in the 3rd house, which deals with communications. Well, look what happened. He tries to announce his presidency. There's a huge debacle. Twitter wouldn't work. But I will say this, aside from K2 being in the 3rd house, lack and problems around communications, I will say that he got, around 8 million donated that day to his political party. That's a lot of money, even though everything went haywire and it was not a good start. But there's one more thing that I want to point out that can really reverse a lot of what we're seeing here. Those 12th house planets are really difficult. The Moon, Mars, opposed by Pluto. And Mars even aspects Saturn. There's some setbacks, delays, and problems, but look at the chart from Chandra Lagna. And aside from, the Moon, Mars, the Chandra Mangala Yoga, which, let me just tell you, Moon, Mars, Chandra Mangala, represents good business success. So put them on the ascendant. Make the Moon the ascendant. And guess what lands in the 10th house? You got it. That Jupiter Rahu, which is majorly powerful. Jupiter Rahu, Mercury Uranus in the 10th house. Mercury Uranus means you're going to see many things change unexpectedly, crazily. There's going to be so much. Let me just say this, excitement in this. Expect the unexpected. Everything that's going to go wrong is coming at him. He's got to really stand his line with all that's going to be coming at him. Politics is dirty business. And I think he knows it by now, but he's got a lot going against him. But I will say, looking at the Jupiter, Rahu, Mercury, Uranus, things are going to change rapidly, unexpectedly, with them being in the 10th house from the Moon. And the Sun will sit in the 11th house of powerful people from the Moon. Venus going 12th, well, still he's got his secret enemies that are going to come at him. And with that being Venus in the 12th, it could be women too. So he's got a lot to contend with. This doesn't look easy. I pulled up his dashas, and for the most part, starting in September, he is in this chart. This is in his chart, but this chart is in Saturn's Mahadasha, and it will shift to Saturn K2 right around the end of this coming September. So you're going to see a big change in September. And it will be Saturn K2 all the way till the day right before elections. So something big is happening the end of September, around the 26th of September of this year, 2023. And that's the Dasha sequence of Saturn K2 till November 4th. November 4th, it changes to Saturn Venus, which is much better in accordance to Venus being in the 11th house from the ascendant, meaning powerful people of support that he will be working along with. Now, with that Saturn Venus, one thing I want to mention, that starting May of 2024, Jupiter will transit into Taurus. It will be in Taurus at the time of the elections in November of 2024. And that means from this Leo ascendant, Jupiter will be in his 10th house and crossing over his natal, not his, in this chart, don't get me wrong, this isn't his birth chart. And that will be another huge factor that can shift much of what we're seeing in this chart of the announcement. But Jupiter will be on the Sun in the 10th house, which can give him great advantage in this run. So by the time Jupiter goes into Taurus, we're going to see something completely different, not only for DeSantis, but for everyone. Jupiter is a planet that gives. Jupiter is a planet of opportunities. And 10th is the ultimate. It is the career, it's a position, it is the reputation. Jupiter in the 10th will be very auspicious for this chart. So with that, there are a lot of things to contend with. This chart is very interesting, tells us a lot about what will go on, as if we didn't know that there was all sorts of forces against him. The media, depending on which side of the media that you look at, everything is, this is a fight. This is politics. And it looks like kind of got off to a bad start, but we'll see. Things will change. And we will watch as the planets transit and bring the unfoldment of what's to come for the 2024 presidential elections. With that, I'll close. Remember, if you would like more information on me, you can always go to my website. It is galacticcenter.org. And don't forget, if you want to learn astrology, I have an amazing online self-paced university, and we're starting semester 1 in July. So be prepared. Look for it. Go to University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.